Have you ever witnessed the rise of a man who seemed unstoppable, only to watch the same man begin to crumble under the crushing weight of heartbreak and career chaos? This is not just another gossip headline or passing rumor. This is the dramatic downfall of Yaman, the Turkish superstar whose name once lit up the international stage, and whose life today is surrounded by whispers of collapse. Fans everywhere are asking the same painful question: how did it all come to this? For years, Yaman was more than just an actor, he was a symbol of passion, masculinity, and success. From the bustling streets of Istanbul to the glamorous lights of Rome, he was everywhere, on giant billboards, glossy magazine covers, and Netflix thumbnails that made him a household name. His smile was a weapon, his charisma magnetic, and his every role transformed into a cultural event. Women admired him, men respected him, and the entertainment industry saw in him the perfect combination of raw talent and international appeal. But behind the flashing cameras and the carefully curated public image, cracks were beginning to show. To understand how a man so powerful and adored could fall into such turmoil, you need to rewind to the love story that changed everything. Because in Can's case, the collapse didn't begin with bad career choices or poor scripts, it began with a woman. A woman who had the power to make him shine like the brightest star, and the power to break him into pieces. Her name, of course, is Demet Özdemir. Their on-screen chemistry in Erkenci Kuş wasn't just television, it was electricity. Fans didn't just watch them, they believed in them. They saw the sparks, the stolen glances, the subtle touches that felt far too real to be scripted. Rumors spread like wildfire: this wasn't acting, it was love. Real, passionate, unstoppable love. And for a while, it seemed like that love was Can's greatest strength. But as every fan knows, the brighter a fire burns, the faster it consumes. The same love that gave him wings soon became the chain that pulled him down. The rumors of fights, the whispers of jealousy, and the stories of unanswered phone calls painted a darker picture. Behind the polished interviews and the carefully chosen words, there was silence, distance, and heartbreak. And heartbreak, when mixed with fame, is a dangerous combination. Because while the world was still celebrating Yaman the superstar, Can the man was beginning to lose his grip. His sleepless nights, his sudden bursts of anger, and his habit of shutting people out weren't just coincidences, they were symptoms of a man on the edge. And when you're standing on the edge, one wrong step can send everything crashing down. The collapse of Yaman's world didn't happen overnight. It was slow, almost invisible at first, like cracks forming in glass that no one notices until it finally shatters. To his fans, he was still the strong, confident actor smiling in front of cameras, still the international sensation flying from Rome to Madrid, from Milan to Istanbul. But those closest to him began to see the truth: the man behind the mask was struggling to hold everything together. Insiders whispered about the constant pressure he faced. The weight of expectations was unbearable. Every producer wanted him, every brand wanted his face, and every fan expected perfection. But perfection is a prison, and Can was trapped inside it. One wrong move, one sign of weakness, and the media would devour him. And that's exactly what started to happen. Headlines began to change. Instead of celebrating his success, they started questioning his choices. But what truly fueled this storm was not just his career, it was love. The story of Can and Demet had become larger than life. Even after their rumored split, fans couldn't let go of the fantasy. They followed every detail, every post, every interview, searching for hidden signs that the love story wasn't over. And yet, the silence between them grew louder. A call that was never returned. A message that remained unread. A promise that was broken. For Demet, it was heartbreak. For Can, it was regret. And for the world watching, it was the beginning of a tragedy. Some say Can drowned himself in work to escape the pain. He threw himself into international projects, trying to prove that he didn't need anyone, that he could rise higher on his own. Italy welcomed him with open arms, and for a while, it seemed like the perfect fresh start. But the past has a way of following you. No matter how many miles you fly, no matter how many scripts you sign, the ghosts of lost love sit quietly in your suitcase. And soon, those ghosts began to haunt his work. Rumors spread of tension on set, of Ken losing his temper during filming, of disagreements with directors who once praised him. Some insiders claimed he was difficult to work with, others said he was simply broken. The truth? Probably somewhere in between. Because a man whose heart is bleeding cannot perform as if nothing happened. Then came the brutal headlines. Ken Yaman loses control. Career in jeopardy. Is this the end? The same media that once crowned him the king of Turkish drama was now ready to watch him fall. And fall he did, into a spiral of doubt, pain, and isolation. Friends said he stopped answering calls. He distanced himself from colleagues. Even fans noticed that his once playful, charming posts on social media had turned darker, colder, more distant. But perhaps the cruelest twist of all was that while his career seemed to slip, his love life became a public spectacle. Every move was linked to Demet. Every new woman was compared to her. Every photo, every glance, every rumor was another wound for Ken to endure. It was as if the world refused to let him move on, chaining him forever to a love story that had already burned to ashes. If Part 2 showed us the cracks, Part 3 reveals the full fracture, the moment when Ken Yaman's carefully built world began to collapse in front of everyone's eyes. Fame is like fire, it keeps you warm, but if you're not careful, it burns everything around you. For Ken, that fire was now out of control. The pressure of carrying a global fanbase was immense. Every Instagram post was dissected, every photo analyzed, every silence turned into a headline. If he smiled, people said he had moved on. If he looked serious, rumors of depression spread. He couldn't win, no matter what he did. And the worst part? The comparisons never stopped. What would Demet think? Is this his message to her? Did she reply? It was as though the entire world refused to allow him to be just an actor. He was a love story, a broken promise, a symbol of what once was. But the man behind the image was tired. Very tired. He tried to channel his energy into projects in Italy, landing high-profile roles that should have cemented his international reputation. For a brief moment, it worked. Italian tabloids adored him, producers fought for him, and fans lined the streets just to catch a glimpse. Yet behind closed doors, insiders say Ken was restless, irritable, and increasingly withdrawn. His temper flared more often, his patience ran thinner, and the image of the perfect gentleman began to fade. One director even confessed anonymously, "He is a star, yes. But he is also a storm. You never know if you will get sunshine or thunder. Sometimes he shines like no one else. Other times, he disappears into his own darkness." This duality fascinated the media but also fueled speculation that Ken was on the edge. Was it heartbreak? Was it pressure? Or was it both? And then came the rumors about love, new romances, fleeting connections, and whispers of jealousy. Every time a woman's name was linked to him, the press immediately brought Demet into the conversation. It was almost cruel. No matter how much he tried to move forward, the shadow of his past followed him. A dinner with a friend? Turned into a scandal. A photo with a fan? Turned into a new affair. Ken's personal life had become a cage, and every headline tightened the bars. But what truly broke him was not the gossip alone. It was the silence between him and Demet. There were moments, late at night, some insiders claim, when Ken would stare at his phone, scrolling through old messages, hesitating to make that call. The call that could have changed everything. The call that never came. To the world, he was a superstar. To himself, he was a man haunted by what-ifs. And as his private life sank deeper into shadows, his career began to wobble. The glamorous premieres, the award shows, the red carpets, suddenly, Ken wasn't there. He skipped events, turned down interviews, avoided the spotlight he once owned. Fans noticed. "Where is Ken?" they asked. The answer was simple: he was hiding, fighting battles the world could not see. By now, the collapse wasn't just whispered about. It was visible. His once unshakable confidence had cracks. His once endless energy was fading. And the man who had everything was now at risk of losing it all: love, career, and perhaps even himself. The fall of a star is never a simple story, it's a storm of moments, mistakes, regrets, and choices left unmade. And for Yaman, part 4 of this journey is where the storm reached its peak. Insiders close to Kim began to talk about his isolation. Once surrounded by friends, colleagues, and an army of fans, he now preferred silence. He was spotted walking alone at night in Rome, avoiding cameras, avoiding questions. The man who once thrived in the center of attention was now running from it. And when a star hides from the light, the world begins to wonder if that light has gone out forever. Career setbacks followed. Some projects he had announced with pride suddenly went quiet. Negotiations that seemed certain were postponed, then cancelled. One producer, speaking anonymously, admitted, "Ken is talented, but right now he is unstable. No one knows what version of him will show up, the professional, or the broken man." For an industry built on trust and image, this was a devastating blow. But nothing hurt more than the constant link to Demet. It wasn't just the fans, it was the media, the magazines, the talk shows. Every time Ken tried to present himself as moving on, the world dragged him back into that love story. Demet's name was like a shadow carved into his identity. Even when she spoke of her own projects, her own life, reporters twisted her words back toward him. It was a love story neither of them could escape, even though the flame had long since burned out. One moment, however, crystallized his collapse, an event where Ken was expected to appear and shine, but instead, witnesses say, he arrived looking exhausted, distracted, and unwilling to engage. Cameras captured a man with heavy eyes, forced smiles, and a body language that screamed defeat. For fans who adored him as an unbreakable hero, this image was heartbreaking. The hashtag #StayStrongKen trended worldwide that night, as supporters begged him not to give up. But the truth was undeniable, the collapse was here. His career, once unstoppable, now faced questions. His love life, once the envy of millions, was now ashes. And his soul, once untouchable, now looked fragile. So where does this leave Yaman today? Is this truly the end of his story, or just the painful chapter before a rebirth? The answer, perhaps, lies not in the gossip columns, but in Ken himself. Every star faces moments of darkness. Every giant falls. But sometimes, the collapse is not the end, it is the beginning of something stronger. Fans still remember the man who once set screens on fire with a single glance. They remember the passion, the energy, the raw emotion that made him more than just an actor. That man is not gone. He is broken, yes, but not destroyed. Insiders claim that despite the chaos, Ken is slowly finding his way back. He has started training again, focusing on discipline, reclaiming the strength that once defined him. There are whispers of new projects, new opportunities, doors that could open if he is ready to walk through them. And most importantly, there is hope that he might finally face his past, not as a wound, but as a lesson. As for Demet, her name will forever be written in the story of Yaman. Whether as love lost, or as the one who changed him forever, she is the chapter fans will never forget. But perhaps the time has come for both of them to let go of ghosts and reclaim their futures. Because the truth is simple, collapse is not the same as destruction. Yaman's world may have crumbled, but from the ruins a stronger man could rise. And when he does, the world will once again turn its eyes to him, not to watch him fall, but to see him soar. Until that day, the question remains, is this the tragic downfall of a superstar, or the painful rebirth of a legend? One thing is certain, when it comes to Yaman, the story is never truly over.